Well, hello and welcome to another video by Berkshire Guitar Amplifier Repairs. At this point I normally say on the bench today we have, but there's no way I'm getting this up on the bench without some kind of crane hoist. So kneeling beside today I have the Fender Twin Reverb. I think this will make an interesting video because the amp works perfectly okay, but there's no reverb and there's no vibrato. So let me say straight away that these problems are likely to be unrelated. There'll be a problem on the reverb side and a problem on the vibrato side. I'm going to make a guess at what might be the problem. On the reverb side it will be either the foot switch, the leads going from the foot switch to the back of the amp, or the reverb tank. It's unlikely to be anything else. There's just a small possibility it could be the driver valve which drives the reverb tank. On the vibrato side, again it's either going to be the foot switch, the leads coming up to the back of the amp, or something in the vibrato circuitry. For example, I think this is the amp that has that photocell arrangement which does the vibrato. So that could be a little bit more complicated. I haven't switched the amp on yet, so the first thing to do is let's get it switched on and see if we can verify what the customer is saying. Okay, I've got to the stage where I've turned the amp on and I've got the guitar plugged in and we have the foot switch on top here. So let's just see. Well, that's the normal channels, that sounds fine. And into the vibrato channel. Again, it sounds nice. Vibrato intensity up full, reverb up full. No reverb, no vibrato. And let's have a go at the foot switch here. Yeah. Oh, it is actually labelled. The label's virtually come off. That's reverb. I heard a change in tone on the amp there. Kind of implies that the foot switch is working okay for the reverb side. You might not be able to hear that, but the amp just goes slightly quieter and slightly louder when I press that. All that tells me is that the foot switch and this lead are doing something. So we have a problem on the reverb side, and quite likely the reverb tank. That's the 50-50 option. On the vibrato side, let's try pressing vibrato. I can't hear any whoomp 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 whoomp. Nothing. Speed, intensity, nothing whatsoever. So it could be the foot switch on the vibrato side, could be the lead, could be the connections. Whilst I was plugging this in, I did notice the connections didn't look great, so I'll turn the amp around and we can have a look at that together and see if you agree with me that connections from here to there don't look great. But of course the next trick I'm going to do is just to unplug this foot switch completely from the back and just plug in a couple of phono leads and short circuit them to see if we get any better results. So I'll turn the amp round and then I'll rejoin you in a moment. Just a quickie before I spin the amp right the way around. I went to move it and heard the reverb tank making a racket, so I'll just do that again. Right, absolutely deafened me. So what that tells you is that the reverb tank return is all working okay. Doesn't tell you anything about the send. Well, see if you agree with me about this horrible collection of leads here. You can see here's the reverb input and output. Well, actually you can see there's a problem there already. This screen has come off of the screen there. That looks sort of reasonable. This is the pedal, look, the foot switch, and I don't like the look of any of this particularly. It's all very frayed and horrible. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take these out here, and we can just eliminate the foot switch by putting in there a phono lead and then short circuiting it. So let's have a go at that and see if that gets us any further down the track. Okay, so what we're going to do now is try to eliminate the foot pedal. I've got it completely unplugged, and instead I've got a little phono lead going in with bare ends, which allows me to short circuit the end and simulate the foot switch. So at the moment it's in the vibrato pedal. Nothing. I'll short circuit it. Oh, that's good. Ah, excellent. Well, that's good news. So the problem with the vibrato is either the lead or the foot switch, so we can investigate that. Let's see if we get equally lucky with the reverb. I've got the reverb turned up full. No reverb there. Short circuit this. No reverb there either. So the problem is either inside the amp, which I don't think it will be with reverb. There's not much to the reverb circuit. It's only a little transformer and a valve. So the first thing I would do, I will eliminate the reverb tank by taking a reverb tank I've got and plugging it into these two leads here. So that's the next thing to do. We've got the vibrato under control, and I'll check whether it's the reverb tank next. Right, I've got to the age with kneeling down where I wonder if there's something else I can be doing whilst I'm down here. But anyway, here we go. I found out that the shorting jack, you don't need to short it for the reverb. So kind of open circuit is reverb in circuit. It's only the vibrato which, if you short it, the vibrato comes on. Anyway, so I don't need a shorting jack. I just kicked the reverb pan as I was going to turn the camera on. It was like the crack of doom. I'm half deaf, but anyway, you can hear that the reverb pan, which I've got here, external reverb pan, is very much alive and kicking. So I've just got this hooked up with a couple of phono to phono leads going straight in the back of the amp. So, but we knew that was working anyway because we heard that noise when we wheeled the amp around. So the thing now is the actual reverb working? I've got it turned up full. Let me strum the guitar, which is behind me. Oh, okay, so yeah, reverb's working. Yep, reverb is working. So what does that tell us? Yes, it could still either. Okay, that tells us that all the circuitry in the amp on the reverb side is fine. So it's either the reverb pan in the bottom here, or these rather tatty leads here, which now I look at them are not in great condition. You can tell if the reverb pan's working by putting an ohm meter on the leads, and they should be reading, a few tens or a few hundreds of ohms if there's anything on the other end of them. If they're open circuit, there's nothing on the other end of them. So I might do that quickly, and then if I get an open circuit situation, I'll take the reverb pan out. Okay, a bit of good news here. I found that by fiddling around with these reverb pan connections, the original reverb pan, the one that's in the bass here, I was able to get the reverb to work. So you can hear that, but the slightest movement on this, there you go, it's gone. Can't get it to fail now. So basically it's these connections here, and they look awful. So I'm just going to remake these leads here and clean it all up and put that back in, and I think the reverb will work. So we're actually in good shape here. We don't need to take the chassis out or get involved in that. We're going to clean up these connections, then we're going to diagnose why the foot switch is not working on the vibrato side. But looking at the state of these, I'm not really very surprised. But I will check that the actual switch is working by getting a meter on here, pressing the switch, and see if it does anything. Right. Well, I think we could probably do that now. Actually, we'll put the meter on buzz so that you'll hear that buzz when there's a short circuit. And let me just check here. And that was the Reverb foot switch. That's okay. And let me check the Vibrato foot switch. No, I'm not getting anything on the Vibrato side. So it will either be the lead or the foot switch, so I'm going to need to investigate that. What will I do first? I think I'll sort out this reverb first and make these leads look a bit nicer. I'll get back to you when I've done that. Okay, I made a little bit of progress. I just tidied up the solder connections on these plugs here, and I actually went to replace them with new phono plugs, but they seemed a little bit big, just slightly loose on the sockets there. Not quite sure why. Maybe back in the 60s the phono sockets were a little bit smaller. Anyway, I didn't want to risk a kind of loose connection there, so I just tidied up the solder joints on there, cleaned them all up with deoxit, and it's all quite good. I can hear that reverb working now. So that's okay. Now I've made a little bit of progress on the foot switch too. If you remember, the Vibrato foot switch is not working. So the Vibrato side of things is this switch here, and it's got a black lead going from here up the umbilical to one of these plugs here. And when I put my meter on the pin of here and the black lead there's no continuity, so this black lead is broken somewhere inside here. Let me just show you that. I've got the meter set on beep so that you can hear a short circuit, and of course we should get a short circuit from the pin of here, which is the black lead, down to the foot switch. And I'm just going to put my meter on there, on the other side on the other end of this black lead basically, and I'm doing that now, and there's absolutely nothing. So I'm afraid this lead is shot. So I need to see if I've got any twin stereo screened lead of a decent diameter with which to make another foot switch. I'm not really surprised this has gone. You might not be able to see, but it's completely twisted all the way along the length, and this is caused by obviously years of coiling it up like this and chucking it in the back of the amp. I'm a real stickler for coiling leads. I used to be a professional music recording engineer, and we used to have to rig and de-rig huge studios full of microphones and microphone cables. And my old boss, who's long dead now, he used to really shout at me if I started doing this kind of business with leads, and even now I wince when I see people doing that. The proper way to coil a lead, didn't really want to get into this, is to take a loop and just to make a loop like that, and then take another bit and make a loop. I'm just giving it a little half twist with my fingers here, a little half twist like that, and that's how you do it. And that doesn't put any twist into the actual cable. Anyway, there you go, little tip there. I'm just going to go and see if I've got any. I'm not sure I have actually got any fairly thick twin screened cable, but I'll go and have a look and get back to you. Okay, I'm in luck. I went to my box of cables and I found some, of course, microphone cable, perfect. It's got a nice screen on the outside and two inner cores, nice and thick and fairly flexible too. So I'll just chop the XLR off the end of this and I'll use this piece of cable here. It'll take me a little bit of a while there now, because I've got to remake the foot switch completely, and also remake the phono ends. I don't think I'll bore you with that, it's just straightforward soldering. So I'll join you again when I've made up the foot switch. Back again, quite a long time actually, about an hour at least since I last saw you, and it was quite fiddly to make up that cable, and then particularly to make off these ends here, even though it's not pretty, but it's okay. And I found actually there was a little tiny break in this little black lead right up at this end here. So had I known that, we might have got away with that, but I didn't like this this lead anyway. It was all really twisted up inside, so we've got a nice new lead now. So let's have a little listen. thing on at the moment, so vibrato. We've got that, that's nice. Reverb, no reverb there. Reverb. Bit of reverb there, I've got it turned down to halfway, so that's all working. That was good, bit of a mission, but anyway, we got that sorted. Whilst I've had the amp on, I've noticed it's grumbling away a little bit. It's behaving itself as we speak now, but there's a little bit of a sort of grumbling away noise in the background. I can hear it now kicking off. That's a bit of a shame. That I think I will try changing a couple of preamp valves and hope that goes away. If not, we have to take the chassis out, which I've been avoiding, and see if we can diagnose what's causing that. It's not particularly obtrusive, but it might be a bit annoying for the customer. It's only on the vibrato channel. Let me just see if I can... Yeah, that's gone now. If I turn the vibrato channel volume down, if I turn it up, yeah, it's performing nicely for you there. A little grumbling away. Alright, I'll take this panel off here to allow me access to the valves, and we'll see if we get lucky with a preamp valve to solve that problem. Well, there you go, fairly hard work that to fix that lead, and but it's good now that the vibrato and the tremolo and the reverb are all working on this amp. Fantastic. If you're watching this and looking to fix your Fender Twin or similar which has reverb problems, we got a little bit lucky with this one. Quite often it's the reverb pan itself. So just put a meter across the two connections on send and return on the reverb, and you should get a reading there, and if one of them's open circuit, it's almost always the reverb pan. And sometimes reverb pans can be fixed. The little tiny wires that go to the coils become, well, they just get broken actually by the coil bouncing up and down on the spring, so quite often they can be resoldered, so that's a little trick there. If not, you'll just need to get a new reverb pan. On the vibrato side, again, you can get problems with the actual circuitry on the board, and if it has that little photo-opto switch arrangement, that can sometimes go faulty or weak. It quite often goes weak, so you get quite often a weak tremolo effect, and that needs replacing. They're not very expensive, £7 or £8 each to replace the opto cell. So just a couple of tips there in case this didn't fix your problem. So that's a wrap from me. I will get the crane hoist out and lift this monster up onto my shelf ready for collection by the customer. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.